All right, guys, I am trying to knock out all of my recordings today. So I want to make sure that all of these units are ready for you to work on your major projects. Remember, you've got to do two of these, two out of the four I posted in order to get a full grade for this quarter if you turn in everything else. Now, what I'm going to do right now is show you how to do a still life. If you watched that Edpuzzle video on how to draw from still life, you would have seen that technique of breaking things down into shapes. And that is similar to what I'm going to do. So the first thing is the jar drawing. I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to talk about drawing some things from still life. So I am going to compose a picture. I'm going to insert it in the video, and then I'll show you how I draw that from still life. If you have any questions about this assignment, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm here to try to help you understand things as much as I can, even though we're doing this online. I hope you guys enjoy it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to just use some of the things that I have here. My suggestion for you would be this. The simpler the object, the easier it is going to be. If you use a lot of complex objects, then your still life is going to be very difficult. So I'm going to use my coffee here. I'm going to pretend that I am doing this still life picture of whatever is behind my camera stand. So I have my sewing machine there. I have got this lamp over here. So what I'm going to do is fix it in a way that I want to draw it. You can see it right there. And then I have this nice kind of cup with different markers and such. Now, when you are doing this, please do not feel like you have to draw all those little details. Like when I'm doing this, I am probably going to just cut off all these pens and pencils because that would probably be too much. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to break this down into simple shapes and show you how I do that on my paper. Oops, I gotta turn this paper around. So that is going to include being able to draw that jar. You know, this object is also cylindrical, my coffee, so that's gonna be in there as well. And then this lamp over here, well, that has also some cylindrical shapes. So all of these things are pretty basic shapes. There's no weird prisms or well, except for that cone over there, but there's no weird shapes that you need to break this down into. All right. So when you do your own still life, do not pick up like a toy with a bunch of hair and things. That is going to be very difficult for you to do. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I am going to do is I might need to move back. I am going to move this onto my lap actually, and I am going to show you how I draw this from still life. So I have a pretty good distance between myself and the objects that are in front of me over here in the room. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of like draw a rectangle around that image that I want to draw. And then the first thing I'm going to do is draw the sewing machine because it's the object that's all the way in the back. And I am going to start with a plain rectangle, which is what the machine is. And then over here, I know that I am going to have like something that's going to come out like this, which is the knob of the sewing machine. Now, I am not doing like the actual shape of it yet. I am going to get all my things done in order. Now, up here in the corner, I can see I have a lamp. I'm going to draw the circle over here. I'm going to draw the triangle over here. Then I am going to draw, I can see that it curves down. And then the bottom, the base of that lamp, ends at about here, very close to the edge of the machine. You know, very close in the sense of very parallel. But, oh, and if I were doing this, I'm sorry, sometimes I skip steps. Maybe I would do this as a triangle first, and then a little rectangle here, and then the rest of my neck would be there. I think I would probably make this a little bigger. All right. So next thing is going to be over here. Now this kind of crosses the machine a little bit, and it is going to be my cup with coffee. So my cup with coffee, I'm going to draw the ellipse at the top. I am going to draw the ellipse at the bottom is down below the edge of the machine a little bit. And of course it's going to be smaller because if you can see, my cup angles down. And then I'm going to draw a set of lines that converge onto that smaller ellipse. And then underneath the cup there is a bigger ellipse. That's my drink mat. What do you call that? You guys know. To protect things from getting wet and stuff. All right. And then inside that cup, I have a straw coming out. And the straw doesn't really touch the machine, so I'm going to make sure that it doesn't in my drawing either. All right. And then over here on the other side, maybe I should have made this machine bigger. Still life is about looking for those basic shapes, but it's also about proportion. Are you drawing things in proportion to one another? And because I can't really show you guys what I'm doing on the side, it's kind of hard to draw on this side of the paper. So now my picture is kind of off to the side. It's off center. But since this is a practice, that is okay. Now, when I'm looking at my cup, at my jar with all the pencils and papers, if I hold up my pencil and put one side of the pencil underneath the base of that jar, I can see that the base of the jar kind of lines up with my coaster. Coaster, there it is, okay? So I am going to draw a white ellipse over here that kind of matches the place where that coaster is. And then the ellipse that I draw at the top is going to be just as wide because the jar that I have sitting on my desk is one of those wide mouth jars, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to do is just draw my two parallel lines that are going to join these ellipses. Now that I have the main sketch for my area, I can go into the details. All right, so I am going to keep going with the sewing machine first. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my lines darker. I'm going to improve my line quality so you guys can see the details. Now, the main part of the sewing machine is white, and it is like a big boxy rectangle. So I am just going to improve those lines, making sure that they're not all messed up. But the sewing machine also has these tiny details, and the edges of it curve. They're not sharp, they're little curves. So I am going to make sure when I'm doing this that I am also curving the bottom. Now, one of the things I want you to notice is over here, and I could pull up the picture right now, but I'm not. There is kind of like a base to the sewing machine that's like a different color. So I am going to include that as well. Now it doesn't come over here because it goes from one edge. It's only like in the middle of the machine. And it's going to be that darker color. So I am kind of going to block it in because I know it's gray. And since this is black and white, like if you have color pencils, you can do this with color pencils. I have color pencils, but I need to get them out of the closet. And right now I am recording this, so I'm not gonna get up and go get those. So I have over here the bottom of my sewing machine. On the side, I drew this funky looking thing, but when you look at it, I mean, it's a knob and it's circular, so I have to make sure it looks circular. So when I look at it, I can see that there is a line that curves over here because there is like a groove in between the knob and the body of my machine. And then there's two sets of parallel lines. And then there's another parallel curve. These two are parallel to each other. Like if you put one on top of the other, they would be the same. And that's kind of what makes it circular. And these two edges are going to be straight and parallel. So now it looks more like a knob than just a little rectangle. Now at the top of my machine, I have this kind of curve that comes right here from the side. And I can see it back here, but over here it kind of curves a little bit more. And then it kind of hides on this end. And what that is going to do is that is like the cover of it. Over here we also have a series of lines. Like I have this line that comes down here towards the middle of the machine. There is another line over here. I'm going to draw this other line over here. I have another line that comes over here from the edge and goes towards the middle, just like the one I drew on the other side. Then I have this line that goes down and it's going to intersect all the pens and pencils I have there. I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm just going to leave the space. And over here, this comes down and it makes a line here. And then you have another line down here. And then a line that divides that. And then this part over here at the top is going to be a green color, so I'm going to shade it in, but I'm going to use a lighter value than I did down here because really it is lighter in value. And this, you can still see the edge of that machine on the side, the green edge, so I'm going to keep it going down. And there's a tiny little knob over here that I had not done yet, but now it's there. All right, next I am going to continue working on my cup. I can tell that I did not do a good job the first time I did this, so I'm going to move it over. And I am not going to try to move the whole thing, try to erase the whole thing. I'm just going to move those loose lines over a little bit. Because really my thing is coming at an angle, my straw, and I couldn't do that earlier because it would have hit the machine, and I can tell from here that it doesn't hit the edge of that machine. Now, next thing I am going to do is I am going to work on this ellipse right here on the lamp. I am going to make it darker. I can tell that this part, it is kind of like an ellipse, but this part is more curved than the part that comes towards the cone over here. I have a little curvature here, like a little edge. Then I have this part of the lamp over here. I have this little knob that attaches to the neck of the lamp. I'm going to have this little knob that attaches to the neck of the lamp. It's like a chrome knob. And then I am going to make this base better. So initially, I had already done what I was meaning to do and was going to skip a step. I am curving the edge, and the curve is coming towards me, not away from me. And then I am going to draw a set of lines over here that go down, and then the other parallel curve because there is this detail there. All right, and then next I am going to make this a little bit fatter because it is a neck, so it has to connect from this side, and I'm going to try to make sure that my lines are staying consistent, and then it's going to have those details where you can bend the neck, but I'm not going to go into that very much. Now with my cup, I can definitely go into more detail for that. So I am going to do this. I am going to continue to bring this down. I am going to do another lid because over here, yes, it is a lid, but then it has like a little lip there. Where you attach it to the cup. And then this guy is actually going to be cut off right here in the middle. And I'm going to do a little curve that wraps around the straw. And I'm going to draw that line, and then I'm going to do a little ellipse at the top that's joining that to make a tube. And then this guy over here is going to come around like a big curve. And I don't know that I want to go into the details of all that for the sake of time. And then I am going to draw this, the edge of it, because it is 3D. So it's going to be another parallel curve so that it is something that I can sit on. And then as we get to the jar is actually the easiest. I have my big mouth. I'm going to draw a set of parallel lines here. I'm going to draw another curve down here, which is like the little edge where you screw on the lid of the jar. I am going to make this mouth bigger towards the back. So I am going to make it a curve. I'm going to extend that curve towards the back. Over here, I'm going to make another lip for my jar. And then over here it has, it's going to come down. All right. The edges come down. They curve a little bit at the bottom. It doesn't sit flush against the table. And then it curves towards me like this. And then over here, I can erase that because my jar, like maybe your jar is transparent, but mine is definitely opaque. Over here, I have some like little crisscross because I have something with texture there. And over here, if I really want to be extra, I can just draw the name ball. All right. So that is my very, very simple, plain still life. Break it down into simple objects first, and then you can add all the details. Again, if you have questions, do not hesitate to email me about them. Thank you.